So let's talk a little bit more about belief versus knowing. Okay, so believing, we see that it's monodimensional, it's very linear, it's very rigid. We can't expand upon a belief. We don't have the background of the belief to draw new meaning from the belief, to find new insights out of the belief, because it's just a label. It's like a sentence compared to the perspective of the guy who wrote it. And so is knowledge. There's no difference really between belief and knowledge. When it's your own, it's knowing. It's knowing. It's not knowledge at all anymore. It just becomes knowing. It's no longer a belief. It's self-evidence, and self-evidence is knowing. It's the true meaning of faith. It's not the blind faith that some would teach you through a repetition of adopted information. It's the type of faith that you experience, that you learn from experience, that you learn by nutting things out in your mind, by connecting the dots. Like, for instance, how many books do you need to read on how to walk a canyon on a tightrope before you're going to have faith to walk a tightrope across a canyon? It doesn't matter how many books you're going to read, you're never going to have real faith that you can do it. You're always going to have a lot of fear, that when you take that first step, it's going to freeze you up, perhaps, or it'll distract you in some way. It could make you fall off. So, is that a faith at all? If you've read 50 books on tightrope walking, and some preacher pats you on the back and shoves you onto the tightrope and says, "There you go, you're an expert now. See how you do." Well, how are you going to do? To have real faith, you would have started off 3 inches above the ground, 3 foot above the ground, and built your way up to walking across a tightrope, across a canyon. Because you know you can do it, because you've done it before, and you have the experience. That's what I call faith, and otherwise it's just a belief. And I have to look back to, well, what was the word faith created for in the first place? Well, obviously there isn't another word for that true faith, is there? So where is that word if it's not faith? And faith has been stolen and distorted and repurposed to serve someone else's motives. Like a lot of the symbology we see that we associate with nasty people and bad guys, bad guys don't create things of value. They steal them, don't they? They steal shit and they resell it. They steal anything that's of value to anybody else because they can, they can gain power and control over other people by stealing it and repurposing it. So then we have a lot of misunderstanding about the symbology of the Masonry, the Illuminati, the church and all that sort of stuff. Well, okay, these days those symbols represent these terrible things, but once upon a time they were most likely symbols representing truth and value to humans, which was stolen. Like everything else of value to humans is stolen by a few. But anyway, I digress. Belief. How much more is there to say on belief that I haven't really covered? Well, there's a whole lot actually, but that's enough, isn't it? The difference between belief and knowing. Belief coming from fear, returning to fear, from the fear of the unknown to more fear of the unknown. Where knowing comes from a deeper place, doesn't it? It comes from a higher perspective as well. It comes from many perspectives, but it's something you can work with. It's something you can always change. And it's not rigid in your mind either. It's more electrical. It's more fluid. It's more vital than a belief. A belief actually represents more of the crystallized chemical rubbish in your mind. It's like signposts in your brain pathways that tells your brain you don't have to go any further down here. Just stop and turn around. This is what it is. But that's a limit to your ability to perceive reality. You can't perceive reality according to labels. But your mind becomes filled with these labels through the programming. It doesn't allow you to experience. It just keeps on pumping in these labels into your head. And I'll have a drink. And I found that was very limiting and debilitating, having all these beliefs in my head when I was trying to do my job. So I started getting rid of all of those. Started becoming aware of what is belief and what is not. What am I speaking from belief? See, we have a lot of these automatic actions that are subconscious programs. They're very similar to the way our body works automatically, just from our subconscious mind. As we learn to walk and talk and do all these things through repetition, the mind learns to automatically control the body, so we don't have to think about putting one step in front of the other, or touching our nose and all that sort of stuff. It's just automatic. The body knows that, and it's learnt that through the years of repetition of practice, and that's how the subconscious mind works. And that's why we're taught repetitiously to remember and regurgitate information, because they know how, some know how the subconscious mind works, and they want the conscious mind working the same way. Well, the subconscious mind driving our conscious thoughts and actions the same way. And when we find we have these automatic responses, or reactions I should say, because they're just reactions, they're automatic, we're not aware that we're automatically reacting. It's just who we are. It's programmed into our subconscious mind. And when we come up with something that our subconscious mind doesn't want, doesn't like, it's programmed to resist, then we resist it arbitrarily. We don't think about it. We just say no. We don't want to go there. And, well, that's a blockage to our learning, to our true conscious learning process. Because in order to experience the totality, you've got to go to both extremes. You've got to be able to go to the depths of the bad and the good, the heights of the good. Not necessarily personally experience those things, but you've got to allow yourself to look at them, to entertain them, and to consider them when you consciously decide and make a choice of which way you want to go. And when you're discerning information, when you're looking at information and asking yourself, where is it coming from? Is it coming from a conscious mind, or is it coming from a program? Can I trust it? Well, my advice would be to don't trust anything and don't trust anybody but yourself. Because only I trust other people's intentions, but I can't trust anybody else to know how to employ their intentions, how to express their intentions honestly, because everybody's full of beliefs, and I am as well. I'm not excluded. I spend a lot of time trying to sort them out, trying to release my belief systems, trying to clear out all those rigid chemical blockages in my synaptic pathways, in order to be able to think more clearly, to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together, to be able to build myself a perspective of reality that makes sense, rather than being eternally in conflict. Because beliefs will conflict with self-evidence all the time. Maybe not conflict as an opposition, but they'll be a limiting factor, even if they're belief in what is supported by self-evidence, because they're so limited by their nature, and they can only offer a mono-dimensional or a two-dimensional perspective, where self-evidence being eternally multi-dimensional and can always be revisited and re-evaluated, will offer you the full dimensionality of every experience. It's always there. It's stored in your memory. And funny thing about memory is, well, at least mine, when I try to recall something, it doesn't necessarily come back to recall. But when I'm in the groove and something sparks and that dot needs to be connected into something, it just comes up automatically. I don't even have to think about it. It's just there. So you don't even have to try to remember anything. I don't. That's why I find it so easy to just let everything go, not trying to dwell on a certain point, trying to impress it into my memory, because I don't need to, and because that doesn't work. That just takes me out of being in the moment and experiencing what is in front of me at that particular time, which is I guess another topic for now, how the universe teaches us, as opposed to how we think we need to be taught, and the way we've learned to be taught. We think that's the only way to learn. To me, that's counting sheep, and that keeps me asleep. So I can't do that. I can't. Well, I can, but I'll try. Try not to. Well, it's not about trying, or it's not about efforting to do anything. It's just about allowing and going with what's presented and just enjoying myself, basically. Like a lot of people, Bashar and other people talk about, just how does he put it? Just living your excitement, just following your excitement, doing what you like to do, and that is the process of true learning for me, and it really works. You see, your mind's perspective is like like the picture in your mind is like a jigsaw puzzle, and we're continually throughout our lives trying to complete this jigsaw puzzle, which is a picture of our reality, however we perceive it. So we're always hungry for information, and we put this picture together slowly. Every time we gain more information, we put these pictures together. Only problem is beliefs, and we have experience. We can't deny self-evidence. It's there. It's right in front of us. And often our beliefs are contradictory to that self-evidence. So we have this conflict in our jigsaw puzzle. And often we follow the beliefs and we reject the self-evidence. we don't see what's staring us in the face, because we've been programmed to believe sometimes the very opposite, and often the very opposite. Because I'll get back to that later as well. So we have this conflict between the pictures in our mind. It's like we've got somebody else's jigsaw puzzle pieces, and we're trying to fit them into our puzzle. And often we've got nothing but somebody else's, so we make a puzzle of somebody else's jigsaw, and we can do that. But then we get this jigsaw puzzle that doesn't fit our self-evidence, so we're always going to be internally in conflict. And it's only ever going to be a very monodimensional puzzle. It's never going to be very deep. It's a very surface, like a two-dimensional picture. It's the best we're going to get out of a belief system. Whereas if we get rid of all the beliefs and we build our jigsaw puzzle out of purely out of self-evidence, then we have this multi-dimensional puzzle. We have the 2 dimensions, the 3 dimensions, 4, 5, 6. We have, like the image, time. It's more like, rather than a flat image, it's more like a 3D image. Let's say, for instance, instead of being a representation on a piece of paper, it's a model. It's a model of a city, perhaps. And we have one building here. We start off putting a few pieces of the puzzles together. We have one piece over here, one piece over there, one piece over there. The more diversity of experience that we have, the broader the range of pieces we're going to have to our jigsaw puzzle, as opposed to if we specialise in a particular field or a particular skill or a particular train of thought, we're going to have just that, one piece in the middle maybe, or off to the side over here. We're not going to have anything around it, so we're not have no idea what goes there. But we're going to have a pretty good idea of that, one piece, because that's going to be pretty much complete. Again, with diversity of information, we're going to have more pieces scattered across the whole jigsaw puzzle with fewer pieces joining the dots, until we have enough, say, and we get to a certain point where we can start to see an overall picture taking shape, and eventually we'll come to a point where, okay, we've got a few pieces close enough together that we can say, like, there's an eye there must be an eye there, so we'll draw an eye there, and there's a nose there and a mouth there, and say there's a train over here, there must be a wheel there must be a carriage there. So we can start drawing in pieces that we don't even have from experience. Once we have a broad enough diversity of information, once it's pure enough that it's all information from the same jigsaw puzzle, being self-evident information, it all fits within each other, and there's no more conflict in the mind. And then we can come to a point where this puzzle just takes off. It completes itself without the need for any further experiences. And that's what I experienced in 2005. I called it a perspective critical mass. A point of perspective critical mass. And that was an experience in itself totally out of this world. And perhaps I'll talk about that in another video. So let's think about that for a minute.